Hey, welcome to Flying Wheels. My name is Craig from Flying Wheels. Usually I start these videos off pretty energetic, pretty enthusiastic. Today, not so much. Why? The market has changed. Things have tanked. Things are collapsing in general. They are collapsing. And it's not just a car market. There are people out there that make YouTube videos that just say, the world is burning, done, whatever. It's like all negativity. I hate putting negativity out in the world, and I don't want to do that. But I do want to show you firsthand what is happening in the world, in the economy. I always say my feet are on the ground in the used car market. I can see where the world is going. Are people buying? Are they not spending? What are they buying? Are they calling me more to sell their cars? Are they trying to get out of their leases or their high-priced vehicles, payments to own things for cash? Or do they want Mustangs and Camaros and toys and they have excess cash? What's going on? And the way they buy vehicles is essentially how they spend their money in the world. So what they do with cars is what they do in real life. And I get to tell you what's going on in the world, which is what today's video is about, because it's not good. So my name is Craig from Flying Wheels. I'm going to walk you around the auction and explain to you what's happening and what you're going to see soon. Forgot to say, let's get going. On one of my recent videos, I brought a Porsche Cayenne, Eagle Talon TSI, and a Nissan Skyline to a dealer auction. I'm moving to Florida. I'm liquidating. I'm cashing out of everything. And if you're smart, I think you should do the same as well. We're selling our house. We're cashing out of it. I'm not even buying a new house. We're renting a new home in Florida. And I'm going to take the money we make from our house, put it in a money market account at 5.5%, and use that money, the interest, to pay my rent. So essentially I'm going to live for free in a home without using any of my cash. So I never spend a dime of my own cash, which is something I'm really looking forward to. I'm looking for an easier quality of life, looking to simplify everything. Now, over the past few years, I've capitalized on good times. During COVID, when things were bad but great and everybody had their PPP money and the economy was thriving and inflation or whatever, there was car shortages, we did really well. We were buying as many cars as we could, and even though the car prices were high and we were paying more, there were more people buying. Now there's less people buying, and there's more people holding their money. Why? Interest rates are still high. Housing prices are still high. Going to the grocery store literally costs us double now. When my wife goes grocery shopping, it's twice the price that it used to be. Now, we're not making twice the money. She's not making twice the money, and most likely you aren't either, but everything we buy has gone up in price. Now, my insurance agent calls me probably quarterly and raises some rate, whether it's my garage policy or my umbrella policy or my workers' comp. Regularly, I get a price increase, and I have for the past 3 years. And that's inflation, right? Sure, it's inflation. Now, if you talk to friends, like I have some, I'm not going to get political, but I have some friends that say the world is great and the market is up and everyone's thriving. That is not true. People are not thriving. The market may be up. It's not for long, all right? Things are not good. And when you talk to not just me, I have several circumstances and situations that I'm going to explain in this video on what's going on with other people in other markets and other jobs, careers, business owners that are really struggling.
A few moments later.
So here's what happened. Interest rates went up. They were increased to curb inflation, right? So now interest rates went up. If you're buying an let's say $1 million house at 3%, your payment was low. Now that same $1 million house, because prices haven't corrected on homes, they're starting to, is now at 8%. So that mortgage that might have been $3,000 or $4,000 is now $6,000, $7,000 or $8,000. So to buy the same home that you could have 2 or 3 years ago is now literally double the price. My electric bill went up 55%. So to have the same electricity in my home that I had 3 years ago is now 55% higher. The price of gas, the price of propane, the price of groceries is all more expensive. Now, people aren't getting raises at the same rate that interest rates increased or that the prices of inflation increased everything. Now, I've made videos about this before where you need to be careful. Everyone's spending money like things are still great, and they're not, and they're not going to be. So even if they seem like they may be right now, they're not. My phone doesn't ring much. My phone doesn't ring a lot. We are hustling to move inventory, and we're still afloat, and we're still good, and we still pay our bills, but they're not what they used to be. Now, let's use my wife, for example, who literally didn't get a raise last year. She works in the school district, and the school district said they're not giving raises. Not giving raises. Inflation's 11%, and they're not getting a raise. So not only did she not get a raise according to what inflation is, just to keep up with inflation, she actually got what's the opposite of a raise? A D raise? I don't know. She makes less money now because it costs her more to live And she didn't get a raise to keep up with inflation. So now if she's in that situation, so are other people. Life is more expensive for people to live. So they're not spending on fun toys like those cars or like boats even. I just had a boat that I sold. I want out of it. I don't want it anymore. I want to have all the cash and none of the liabilities. Now me as a business, I'm curbing everything down. I'm like minimizing everything that I don't need, I'm getting rid of. I'm not the only business doing this. I have a friend that owns a staffing agency that bought a $135,000 pool 2 years ago, and now no one's staffing. No one is staff. They're not calling him saying, "Hey, we're killing it. We need more staff." So if he's not getting calls from businesses saying we need more staff, his business isn't doing well. But that's indicative of what the other businesses are doing. How are the other businesses doing? If they don't actually need any more staff, it says a lot about what's going on. He's like the number one tell of how things are going. Do businesses need more employees? Are they doing well? Or are they scaling back? They don't need as much help anymore. It says it right there. They don't need as much help anymore. Now, I just saw that interest rates are anticipated to stay higher. So if interest rates stay high, it curbs how much lending people want. Like, I don't want a loan if they're 8%. Why would I go buy a boat if it's at 8%? I don't need a boat that bad. I don't need a payment that's 4 or 5% higher than it was a few years ago. I don't need that, so I just won't. And a lot of other people think that same thing. People aren't buying boats, or they're buying less houses. Like, I'm selling my house. I had 2 people at the open house. It used to be a line to get in the house, and then they'd go over asking. I sold my house to maybe the 5th or 6th person that looked at it, and we negotiated on the price. We came down on price. It's not a seller's market anymore. We actually negotiated on our house. I just didn't even think that was a thing anymore. I was actually nervous that we wouldn't sell it. So that's the world we're living in now. Now, a lot of you may say, hey, we're not in a recession. No, the recession was postponed because the government pumped trillions of dollars into the economy to prevent a recession. So there are trillions of dollars out there. We're not getting it anymore. It's not in our hand. We've spent it. Now it's the CEO, the execs, the government. They're getting it all back. My taxes are higher than they've ever been. And you gave me $900 a month or whatever it was for a little while. It costs way more than that to live now. So that's moot. Thanks for the fake money. Now the world is more expensive.
A few minutes later.
Now, I was talking about homes a little while ago. $1 million homes have when did $1 million become the going rate for a house? When I was a kid, a millionaire, somebody to be a millionaire, have somebody make $1 million, to somebody to have a house worth $1 million, you might as well have been Bill Gates. Like $1 million. Now, we were in Florida looking for houses, and this is why we're renting and not purchasing. We were looking at houses in Florida just to live in a house smaller than ours. $1 million is the standard. Florida used to be like, you sell your house, you move to Florida, you retire on what you've made off your house. Not anymore. No longer. Now, $1 million gets you a decent home. Not a lavish home, not a huge home, just a decent home. You might get a pool. Maybe you don't get a pool. Maybe you'll get a pool. But that's where we're at right now. So, like, I just have to say that out loud. Like, you need $1 million to buy a good house for a family of 4 and a dog, and maybe you'll get a pool at 8% interest. That's wild. Now, the other thing that's happened in Florida is, like, you pay property taxes based on what you pay. So there are people that lived in those homes for $300,000 and they pay property taxes on $300,000. They sell it for $1 million. To me, I pay taxes on $1 million. Plus, insurance rates have increased dramatically in Florida. Plus, car insurance is more expensive in Florida. Plus, just general living lifestyle is more expensive in Florida. That can't be sustained. Now, I chose not to buy a home in Florida. We're going to cash out, keep our cash. Every single day, I get an alert on Zillow or Redfin or whoever, notification price drop. All the homes I looked at in April, still, every one of those homes still for sale, lots of which have had price drops. That's indicative of our future. It's going to happen in Florida first and then move on. My house price is lower than I would have thought it would sell for, so that's what's happening. Now let's get into cars. My special interest, they're worth 50% what they were 2-3 years ago. But Jeep, they're not selling anything. You can walk in and steal a Jeep Wrangler if you're looking to buy a new Jeep Wrangler. They cannot give them away. Ram cannot give them away. The Ford Lightnings, forget it. They stopped production because they have so many leftovers. The Mach-E's from last year, so many leftovers. They're giving these things away. Dealers have incentives again of 0% or 1.9% or $12,000 off. My father bought a Wrangler for $17,000 less than MSRP. Remember when we were paying over MSRP? Now he paid $17,000 less than MSRP. And he got a $7,500 tax credit on his hybrid Wrangler. So that's what's happening in the car market. So when car prices were at an all-time high and people still think their cars are worth those prices, they're wrong. And in situations like me, I own inventory for just too much money now. I was warning people against it, but I have to stay with the market. We need inventory. So I was buying and buying, and then things change. And I still have a decent amount of inventory that's overpriced that I can't sell. My only option is take the loss on everything and restart, or keep the cars, and I'm just gonna keep them forever. I talked about being a business owner and how expensive it is. I gave everybody a raise. Inflation was so high, like the standard of living, the cost of living was expensive. Everybody got multiple raises through COVID up to now, and they deserve it, and they did a great job. Now everything's more expensive and the market's down. Employment is expensive. So I have workers' compensation, I have insurance on them, I have payroll taxes on them, I just liability on everybody. And the more employees you have, the more expensive everything is in general. Plus payroll in general. It's really, really expensive. So when all my vendors have increased their prices and it's more expensive to employ people, plus benefits are more expensive, and then we're in a market where things are slower, sales are down, everything is more expensive for the business owner. They're gonna have to cut their money somewhere. So where's it gonna be? As employees? What's going to happen? It's up to the business owner to decide. I mean, people are going to be laid off soon. Not everybody's going to put up with that, nor can they even sustain it. Okay, I'm going to tell 2 more scenarios, and then we're going to call it quits from here. I have 2 friends that have done really, really well for themselves. One is in construction. They build hospitals, and they absolutely crushed it for the past few years because the government was pumping so much money into the hospitals that they were just getting funded left and right, and these hospitals were expanding, so was their construction company. The construction company was passing it down to their employees were spending more money. It just is great to stimulate the entire economy. You can see how it floods all the way down. Well, now the hospitals aren't getting that government money pumped in, so they're not building as much, so they're not hiring the construction as much, so now the employment is down. And now the employment is down, those people aren't making as much money, they're not spending as much money. Now when they're not spending as much money or buying a special car from me, I'm not making as much money. It's just a butterfly effect that keeps trickling down. Now the restaurant industry is wildly expensive. Like every time I go to dinner, minimum $150 for my wife and I, minimum. And we're not lavish. It's, take my family out, oh, it's like for pizza and subs, $100 every single time. It's just, like sometimes I'd rather just say, no, I'm not going out. I don't feel like spending $100 tonight. So if I'm doing that, multiple others are. Now in the city, like in Boston, I have some friends that own restaurants. Their revenue's down because people aren't going out to the city as much anymore. We're getting like these pop-up towns. Like we have a town up here that built like this beautiful area where we can go out and listen to live music and go to bars and restaurants locally. So why would I drive into the city if I have all these like pop-up communities that keep you local? So restaurants in the city aren't doing as well. Neither are hotels. And then rentals, like people are working from home still. So they're not buying as much or renting as much commercial property. So that's down. It's all indicative of what's to come, and it's going to happen. So beware, be smart, be safe. Don't go lavish, don't overspend, be conservative. Now is the time to be conservative. And remember, pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered, right? Did I say that right? Yeah. Just be safe, be smart. I'm selling everything. I'm liquidating, and I'm just gonna sit and wait. And when the time comes, we won't be in trouble. And we have the capital and the surplus to jump back in and hopefully rise again. Thanks for watching. I hope this was informative and educational. If it was, a thumbs up is really, really appreciated. I'll see y'all later.